This week, as part of my Bold Baking Basics series, I'm going to show you how to make my famous 7-minute frosting. This is a huge recipe on my website ever since I launched it, so I thought I'd share it with you today. It's a great basic, it's easy to make, it takes just a few ingredients, and it's really inexpensive because you don't need any butter. It's like a meringue-like frosting. It is so good. So here's how to make it. The first step for this frosting is I put a saucepan on the stove top with a little bit of water in the bottom and have it simmering away. We're going to start out in a metal bowl. I don't want you to use glass, I want you to use metal because I've had trouble with glass cracking before, because we're going to put this over a double boiler. Into this, I'm going to add in some granulated sugar. And as always, this recipe is on biggerbolderbaking.com. To this, I'm going to add in some egg whites. Now, it's important to make sure that your egg whites have no egg yolks in them, that they're nice and clean, and also that they're large egg whites. I always use large egg whites in my recipes, and I specify that. So if you're weighing them, they should be 2 ounces or 60 grams. Into this, we're going to add a little bit of salt for flavor. Next, cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is really important. It does 2 jobs. It stabilizes your frosting. We also use it in meringue making, it stabilizes the meringue, so it makes it much thicker and easier for you to work with. It's kind of like a bit of a secret ingredient when it comes to working with meringue. And then we also have corn syrup. Some people substitute corn syrup if they can't find it for glucose syrup, and a lot of people aren't a fan of using that anymore. I will say that I have a substitute on my website of how you can make your own corn syrup. It's just sugar and water. It is so easy. Don't leave out the corn syrup because it makes your frosting pliable and it also stops it from crystallizing. So you won't form those sugar crystals later on. And then last, we add in some water. So this is it. This is all we need for our frosting. Follow me over to the stovetop and we're going to cook it. So my pot is simmering away. All we want to do is create that double boiler by putting your pot on top. It's always handy to have a little tea towel close by to hold the pot. And what we're going to do is whisk these ingredients together, because remember we have our egg whites in here. And what we're not trying to do is cook our egg whites. What we're trying to do is to melt the sugar and get it to dissolve and heat up the egg whites. Heating up the egg whites also sterilizes the egg whites at the same time. Now this is going to take a few minutes. When creating a double boiler, just make sure that you have a little bit of water in your pot. It does not want to be hitting the bottom of your bowl because that is an absolute no. All we want is some good space so the steam from the water can heat through what's in the bowl. I just recommend standing here and keep on whisking. So I discovered 7-minute frosting when I was trying to make a really inexpensive birthday cake. If you remember, I made a $5 birthday cake. The frosting ended up being like $1.40 something. The cake was like $3.40, so the whole cake was less than $5. But anyway, I always thought with a frosting like this, it was going to be like Swiss meringue with butter. And I've had terrible luck with a Swiss meringue and egg white frostings in the past because of the incorporating of the butter and it's splitting and oh my gosh, so frustrating. But the best thing about this is that there is no butter. Once we're done here and the sugar has completely dissolved, all we have to do is bring it over to our stand mixer and whip it for 7 minutes. That is it. And then the end result is this lovely, thick, stable frosting. So it's been a few minutes and my mixture is hot and it's kind of turned an opaque color. And if I rub it in between my fingers, there's no sugar granules. And what I might just do for extra insurance, look at it on my spoon. And if you can see that, Joey, it is a sugary syrup with no granules. So that's what we're going for. If the sugar hasn't dissolved and there are granules, the frosting will not whip up. And believe me, I know this because it happens to me. So just give it those few extra minutes and you'll be good. This is great. That is the hardest part of this frosting done. So follow me over to the countertop and let's whip this up. I have my mixer here. It helps that it's a powerful little guy because you really want to whip this up at a high speed to get as much air and as volume into it as possible. And on we go. I'm gonna put it on high. Now, like the name says, we're whipping it for 7 minutes. Towards that 7 minutes, you're really going to start to see a change. And then at the end, it's going to be lovely and thick. For this frosting, I would recommend using a stand mixer to whip it up rather than a hand mixer. And the hand mixer just won't get you as much air as you would need. Like the stand mixer will just do a better job. So our frosting is looking fantastic. It's really lovely and thick, and it's getting towards the end of our time. So now I'm going to add in our vanilla extract and let that whip up for another minute or two, just to incorporate and to stiffen slightly. So another benefit of this frosting is that it's naturally dairy-free. So if you have somebody you're making dairy-free cupcakes or cakes for, then this works perfectly. You don't have to adjust the recipe to fit in a margarine or dairy-free butter. So it works really well. Because this frosting is meringue-based, and we never let meringue sit around too long, so you kind of have 24 hours to use this frosting. If you hold it after that, you can whip it back up again, and I've seen success. The best thing to do is make it and then use it for best results. So we're at the end here now, and one of the reasons I can tell is because it's got considerably thicker, but also if I put my hand around the bowl, it's cooled down a lot. If you find that it's still too hot, keep on mixing. But this feels fantastic. So let's see how we did. Oh my gosh, that is a stiff frosting, and this is exactly what we want if you want to pipe it and smear it on, and for it to be nice and thick. Look at that. Gorgeous, beautiful. Just so you know, if you want to make this frosting and you're in a humid climate, you're probably used to having trouble making meringues, macarons, things like this. So just try and do it in a dry part of the house at a kind of milder part of the day, and hopefully you'll have success. So once it is whipped up, there's nothing else left to do except use your lovely homemade frosting. The 7-minute frosting is a really versatile recipe. You can add in lots of different flavors like extracts or zests, even maybe cocoa powder or dried up dehydrated strawberries, whatever you like. And you can also color it for any occasion. And a fun fact about this meringue frosting, if you put a kitchen torch to it, it will actually toast as well. So it'll go great with s'mores on top of cakes or pies. Best of all, like I said, it only costs $1.46 to make this entire batch of frosting, which just makes so much sense. Bowl bakers, I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this incredibly simple 7-minute frosting. And remember, you can use it on any of my cakes or cupcakes. And if you want to see more bold baking basics, then stick around. I've got tons more videos for you to check out.